Welcome to GhostMire, where every night a new horror story drags you deeper than the last. Before anything else, hit subscribe right now. If you miss even one night, you'll miss the piece that connects all these stories into something far darker. Comment below where you're watching from and what time it is. I want to know exactly who's awake inside the dark with us. And listen carefully. This story has something hidden. A moment so disturbing, so unexpected that most people don't recognize it until the very end. If you leave early, you'll never know what really happened. So stay with me all the way to the final second. Story 1. The Trans-Canada Trucker. My name is Chen, 47, and I've been hauling freight across the Trans-Canada Highway for 23 years. I know every truck stop between Toronto and Thunder Bay, every mile marker, every dangerous curve. On March 14th, 2019 at 2:47 a.m., I learned that knowing a road doesn't mean you understand what travels on it. I was driving my 2016 Peterbilt 579 loaded with automotive parts westbound on Highway 17 near Wawa. Temperature was minus 18 Celsius. My logbook showed 6 hours left on my shift. The CB radio crackled with static. Channel 19, the trucker channel, completely dead. Not unusual that late, that remote. Mile marker 782. My headlights caught something on the shoulder. A woman. Standing perfectly still, wearing a summer dress, no coat, minus 18 degrees, I grabbed my CB. Breaker, breaker, anyone got eyes on a woman mile 782 westbound? Nothing but static. I should have kept driving. My wife Sarah always said my problem was caring too much. I pulled over, hazards on, grabbed my mag light and climbed down. The cold hit like a physical force. My breath fogged thick. The woman stood 30 feet ahead, facing away, long black hair hanging straight down her back. No steam from her breath. None. "Ma'am, you okay?" My voice sounded wrong in the silence. She turned. Her face was normal, pretty even, but her eyes were completely black. Not the pupils, everything. Like someone had filled her eye sockets with ink. "I need a ride," she said. Her voice had no echo. In that empty wilderness, everyone's voice echoes. My heart slammed against my ribs. "Where's your car?" She pointed into the darkness beyond the tree line. I swung my flashlight. Nothing. Just snow and spruce trees stretching forever. "How long have you been out here?" "Since the accident." She took a step toward me. "I need a ride home." Every instinct screamed, but she looked human, vulnerable, lost. "Get in the truck, I'll call for help." She smiled. "I don't need help. I just need a ride home." I climbed back into the cab. She appeared in the passenger seat, not climbed in, appeared. One moment the seat was empty, the next she was sitting there, hands folded in her lap, that summer dress completely dry despite the snow. I reached for my cell phone. Dead. Fully charged 20 minutes ago, now completely black. "Start driving," she said. I did. What else could I do? My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip the wheel. "Where am I taking you?" "Home." She stared straight ahead. "You'll know when we get there." Mile marker 785, 790, 795. I kept driving. The road stretched ahead, identical, endless. My fuel gauge showed 3/4 full. It should have dropped by now. The odometer wasn't moving. "Please," I said, "just tell me where—" "Do you know what happens to people who stop?" She interrupted. "On this road? Late at night?" I didn't answer. Couldn't. They become like me, waiting, always waiting for someone who cares enough to stop. I glanced at her. Her skin was gray now, not pale, gray, like concrete. Cracks appeared around her eyes, spreading like broken glass. "I stopped," I whispered. "You did." She turned those black eyes on me. "But you can still leave, if you're fast enough." "What?" "When I tell you, you jump. You run into those trees and you don't look back. Not once. Do you understand?" I nodded. My throat was too tight to speak. 3 seconds, she said. 2, 1, now! I threw the door open and jumped, hit the pavement hard, rolled, scrambled to my feet, ran. Behind me, I heard my truck's engine roar. Then silence, complete silence. I turned around. The highway was empty, my truck was gone. Not driven away. Gone, like it had never existed. I walked 17 kilometers before a OPP cruiser found me at dawn. Constable Williams, badge 4782. He said there was no abandoned truck, no reports matching my description. My Peterbilt was found 3 days later in a truck stop parking lot outside Sault Ste. Marie, 200 kilometers away. The logbook stopped at mile marker 782. The fuel tank was bone dry. I still see her sometimes. Standing on shoulders of highways, waiting, always waiting. I don't stop anymore, ever. And when other truckers ask why I refuse to drive Highway 17 at night, I tell them I'm too old for long hauls. But the truth is simpler. Some roads are hungry, and they'll use whatever bait they need to feed. Story 2. The Graveyard Shift at Cambridge Memorial. My name is Dr. Jennifer Walsh. I'm 34 years old and I've worked as an ER physician at Cambridge Memorial Hospital for 6 years. I've pronounced death 127 times. On October 8, 2020 at 3:23 a.m. I learned that death doesn't always stay pronounced. The night started normally. Car accident victim in Bay 3, elderly patient with chest pain in Bay 1, teenager with appendicitis in Bay 5. Standard Thursday graveyard shift. My colleague, Dr. Patel, was handling a psychiatric case. Nurse Rebecca Thompson was at the desk doing charts. Everything by the book. At 3:23 a.m. exactly, every monitor in the ER flatlined simultaneously. Not alarms. The machines didn't detect cardiac arrest. They just went dead. Screens black. Complete electrical failure. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Generator should be on in 30 seconds, Rebecca said. She'd worked there for 19 years. Nothing rattled her. 60 seconds passed. No generator. The silence was absolute. No ventilators, no monitors, no humming from the air system. In a hospital, there's always sound, always. This was like being underwater. Then I heard it. Footsteps, coming from the morgue corridor. "Rebecca," I whispered. "Did anyone die tonight?" She checked her computer. Dead. Not on our shift. Morgue should be empty. Last death was 6 p.m. yesterday. The footsteps got louder, slow, deliberate, barefoot slapping on linoleum. Dr. Patel emerged from the psych evaluation room. "Are you hearing?" "Yes." We all stared at the morgue corridor entrance. Emergency lighting cast long shadows. The footsteps stopped just beyond the doorway. In the darkness. Waiting. "This is ridiculous," Dr. Patel said. He grabbed a flashlight from the nurse's station and walked toward the corridor. Probably a confused patient. "Vikram, wait," I started. He stepped into the corridor. His flashlight swept left, then right. "Nothing here, see? Just..." His flashlight dropped. Clattered on the floor, still on, beam pointing back toward us. Dr. Patel stood frozen, staring at something we couldn't see. "Vikram," Rebecca called. He walked backward, slowly, deliberately. Not like he was choosing to move, like he was being pulled. His face was white, eyes huge, mouth open in a silent scream. I ran forward, grabbed his arm. His skin was ice cold. His eyes didn't register me at all. "Vikram, look at me," he whispered. "They're all still here." "What?" "Everyone who died, they never left. They're standing in their rooms, watching, waiting." I looked past him into the darkness, saw nothing. "There's nobody. Look at Bay 3, he said. I turned. The car accident victim, Michael Torrens, 52 years old, DOA, at 11:47 p.m. 3 nights ago, was standing beside his empty bed. Gray skin, hospital gown, eyes open and aware, staring directly at us. My breath stopped. That's impossible. He's been in the morgue for... They're all back, Dr. Patel whispered. Every bay. Bay 1. Elderly woman with white hair, translucent skin, watching us with curious tilted head. Margaret Chen, 79, died of massive MI 4 days ago. Bay 5, teenager, appendectomy scar visible through his gown. Thomas Wright, 16, post-op infection took him 6 days ago. Bay after bay. Figures standing silent. All of them people I'd pronounced. People I'd failed to save. What do they want? Rebecca's voice shook. Margaret Chen in Bay 1 spoke. Her voice was dry, unused. To understand. They all moved forward. Not walking, gliding. Michael Torrance from Bay 3 reached out with gray fingers. Why did you stop? Why did you give up? Thomas Wright asked. I didn't give up. I backed against the nurse's station. You were already gone. There was nothing. You declared us dead, Margaret said. But we were still aware, still listening. We heard you tell our families, heard you fill out the death certificates, felt them wheel us away. My vision tunneled. This couldn't be real. Exhaustion, hallucination, carbon monoxide leak. The lights blazed on, full power. Every monitor beeped back to life. The figures vanished. Dr. Patel collapsed. Rebecca and I caught him, lowered him to the floor. His pulse was 140, respirations 28, pupils dilated. Classic panic attack. Security arrived 90 seconds later. Power surge from the storm, the guard explained. Fried the automatic transfer switch. Generators manual start only. Sorry for the delay. What storm? I looked out the windows. Clear sky. Stars visible. The next morning I requested the death certificates. Michael Torrance, Margaret Chen, Thomas Wright. All of them were real. All died exactly when Dr. Patel and I said they did. Proper protocols followed. Time of death correctly documented. But here's what keeps me awake. When we reviewed the security footage from that night, there's a 7-minute gap. 3:23 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. Complete blank. The system administrator, Paul Chen, swore the backup battery should have kept the cameras running. There's no technical reason for the gap. 7 minutes. The exact duration of the power failure, Dr. Patel, transferred to a clinic in Toronto 2 weeks later, refuses to discuss that night. Rebecca requested permanent day shift. I'm still on graveyards because someone has to be. But now when I pronounce death, I lean close and whisper, I'm sorry. You're free now. You can go. I don't know if they hear me. I don't know if it helps. But sometimes, late at night when I'm alone, I feel them watching from the empty bays. Not angry, not vengeful, just waiting to see if I remember them, if I care that they were here. I do. God help me, I do. Story 3. The Highway 401 Collector Lane. My name is Robert Bobby Sinclair, and I drive a 2018 Honda Civic for Fast Track Courier Service. I'm 29, been doing Toronto deliveries for 4 years, and I know every shortcut, every traffic pattern, every minute saved. On July 22, 2021 at 11:38 p.m., I learned that some shortcuts don't take you home. Final delivery of the night, Scarborough to Mississauga, package for a law firm, deadline midnight. Highway 401 westbound was my fastest option, traffic light for that hour. GPS showed 31 minutes, easy. I merged onto the collector lanes at McCowan Road. Streetlights overhead, occasional transport truck, normal night. Radio played classic rock, Zeppelin, Ramble On. I sang along thinking about my girlfriend Amy waiting at home with leftover pizza. Exit 352 passed, then 353. The exits matched my GPS. Everything normal. Until I noticed the same blue Toyota Corolla passing me for the 3rd time. Same car, same license plate, BKRV 483. Same driver, middle-aged guy, baseball cap. He'd pass me, fall back, then pass again. Weird, but maybe he was confused about his exit. Then I saw the same transport truck, red cab, white trailer, Schneider National on the side. I'd passed it 10 minutes ago near Markham Road. Now it was ahead of me again. Same truck, same trailer number, SN47832. My skin prickled. I checked my GPS. It showed me on Highway 401 westbound approaching Highway 427. But I hadn't seen an exit sign in how long? I focused on the roadside. No exit signs, no distance markers, just endless concrete barrier, streetlights, and dark sky. The radio crackled. Static now, Zeppelin gone. The blue Corolla passed me again, fourth time. The driver turned his head, made direct eye contact, mouthed two words, "Get off." My heart hammered. I pressed the accelerator. 80 kilometers per hour, 90, 100. The Corolla kept pace effortlessly, driver still staring, lips moving, "Get off, get off, get off." An exit sign appeared, green, reflective like every other 401 exit. But the text was wrong. Not a road name or number, just "Exit now." I swerved right. The exit ramp curved away from the highway, down, darker than it should be, no lights. My headlights showed cracked pavement, faded lines. The ramp went down, down, down like a spiral. I hit the brakes. My Civic skidded, tires screaming. I stopped at the bottom of the ramp. In front of me was a parking lot, abandoned. Cracked pavement sprouting weeds, shopping carts overturned. A dead mall looming beyond, shattered windows, graffiti, no lights. My GPS showed static. My cell phone, no signal. The blue Corolla pulled up beside me. Driver rolled down his window. Up close, he looked exhausted, haunted. "How long were you on that collector lane?" he asked. "On 20 minutes, maybe 30? "I've been on it for 6 hours. He laughed, high and brittle. "I got on at Kingston Road at 5:40 p.m. I've been trying to exit ever since. Same loop, over and over, same trucks, same cars, same streetlights. I've tried every exit, they all lead here. That's impossible. Count the other cars." I looked across the parking lot. Dozens of vehicles. Some old, 1990s sedans, rust-eaten pickup trucks. Some newer, all empty, all abandoned. "Where are the drivers?" I whispered. He pointed at the mall. "They went inside looking for help. None of them came back. I've been sitting here for 40 minutes trying to decide if I should risk it or get back on the highway. We need to call for help. No signal. Trust me, I've tried everything." He started his engine. "I'm going back on. Maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe I'll find a real exit." "Wait, don't!" He drove up the ramp. His taillights disappeared into the darkness. I sat in my Civic, engine idling, staring at the mall. Every window was black. But I felt something watching from inside, something patient, something hungry. My fuel gauge showed 1/4 tank. I'd filled up in Scarborough, should be 3/4 at least. Time on my dashboard clock, 11:43 p.m. Only 5 minutes since I'd gotten on the highway. That was impossible. It felt like hours. I made a choice. I put my car in reverse and backed up the ramp. If I couldn't go forward, I'd go backward. The ramp spiraled up, up, up. My transmission whined, never meant for this. The engine temperature gauge climbed toward red. Then I saw light. Real light. Street lights. Highway 401, the collector lanes. I reversed onto the shoulder, cranked the wheel, shifted to drive, and merged. Traffic flowed normally. A green exit sign appeared. Highway 427 South. Real. Legitimate. I took it, hands shaking so hard I nearly clipped the barrier. I pulled into a Tim Hortons parking lot on Dundas Street, 12:07 a.m. I'd lost 29 minutes, my delivery deadline missed. I called my dispatcher, told him I had car trouble. He was annoyed but understanding. I never mentioned the collector lane. Who would believe me? But I did research. Spent days searching online forums, old newspaper archives, traffic reports. Found 17 posts over 12 years from drivers describing the same experience. Same endless collector lane. Same exit to nowhere. Same abandoned mall. Most people deleted their posts within days. One user, Midnight Driver 2, posted in 2015. I went into the mall. Don't go into the mall. Some roads aren't maintained by the MTO. Some roads maintain themselves. The account was deleted 6 hours after posting. I still drive for Fast Track, still take Highway 401, but never the collector lanes after 11 p.m. Never. And sometimes late at night when traffic is light, I see the blue Corolla. BKRV 483, passing me, falling back, passing again. The driver doesn't look at me anymore, he just stares straight ahead. Trapped in his loop, still searching for an exit that leads home. I got out, he didn't. And I don't know if that makes me lucky or just means my exit is still waiting for me. Somewhere down the road, in the darkness between streetlights, where the collector lanes never end. Story 4, the Algonquin Park Ranger. My name is Daniel Kowalski, 41 years old, and I've been a park ranger at Algonquin Provincial Park for 14 years. I know every trail, every lake, every campsite in the 7,653 square kilometers. On September 3rd, 2018 at 4:15 p.m., I learned that knowing a place doesn't mean you understand what lives there. I was patrolling the Highland Backpacking Trail when I got the call. Dispatch, Linda Morrison, been working there for 22 years, reported a missing hiker. Female, 26, named Sarah Halloway from Ottawa, last seen at Provoking Lake campsite at 9 a.m. When she didn't arrive at Harness Lake by 2 p.m., her hiking partner called it in. Standard search. I grabbed my Garmin GPS, first aid kit, bear spray, and headed to her last known position. Temperature was 19 degrees, clear sky, good visibility. Trail conditions excellent. Sarah was an experienced hiker according to her partner. Proper gear, good physical condition, GPS-equipped smartphone. I found her phone at 4:47 p.m., sitting in the middle of the trail, not dropped, placed, screen up, perfectly centered on the path, battery dead despite being fully charged that morning. Beside it were her car keys, wallet, and a handwritten note on a page torn from her journal. The note said, "Don't follow the children, they're not real. They've been walking behind me since noon. They never get tired. They never make sound. I can see them in my peripheral vision, but when I turn around, they're just trees. Just trees shaped like children. I'm going off trail. I can't stay on the path. They're waiting ahead. I can see them gathering at every turn. This is the only way. Tell my mom I love her." My hands went cold. In 14 years, I dealt with lost hikers, injuries, bear encounters, even one murder. Never anything like this. Psychotic break, drug reaction. But her handwriting was steady, rational, terrified but lucid. I radioed dispatch. "Linda, I need the OPP psych team and additional search personnel. I'm going off trail in pursuit." "Copy that. Be careful, Dan." I activated my GPS tracker and followed the trail of broken branches Sarah left. She'd gone northeast, away from the trail, into dense forest. Every few meters, more personal items. A water bottle, her compass, one hiking boot, then the other, socks, her fleece jacket. She was stripping down. Classic hypothermia behavior, but the temperature was too warm. Unless her mind was overheating with panic. At 5:23 p.m., the forest changed. I can't explain it better than that. One moment I was in normal Algonquin wilderness. White pine, sugar maple, familiar bird calls. The next, the trees were wrong. Too straight, too evenly spaced, like someone had planted them in rows. The light was dimmer despite clear sky above. No birds, no insects. Complete silence except my breathing and footsteps. My GPS showed I was still heading northeast, but the terrain didn't match the topographic map. I should have been approaching a creek. Instead, the forest just continued, endless and identical. Then I saw them, children, 7 of them, standing between trees, perfectly still, maybe 40 meters ahead. They wore old-fashioned clothing, wool coats, leather shoes, like something from the 1920s. Too far to see faces clearly, but they were child-sized, not moving, not breathing. "Hello?" I called. My voice sounded flat, dead. "Are you lost?" They didn't respond, didn't move, just stood there, hands at their sides. I took a step forward. They turned in unison and walked away, disappearing behind the trees. Not running, walking, synchronized, unnatural. Every instinct screamed at me to go back, but Sarah was out here, alone, terrified. I kept going. I found her backpack at 5:41 p.m., completely unpacked, contents arranged in a perfect circle: tent, sleeping bag, food, stove, like a ritual. In the center was her journal, open to the last entry. "They showed me what happens if you stay on the trail. Everyone who walks the Highland Trail walks with them eventually. The paths are grooves worn by the lost. The trees remember everyone who disappeared here. I won't be one of them. I won't follow the path. I'm going to where the trees end, where the map stops. If you find this, tell my mom I tried to break the pattern." The trees ended 20 meters ahead, abruptly, unnaturally. Forest on one side, nothing on the other. I approached the edge and looked over. It wasn't a cliff, it was absence. Like reality just stopped. Gray void extending forever. No ground below, no sky above, just nothing. And standing at the edge, toes hanging over, was Sarah Halloway. "Sarah!" I lunged forward, grabbed her arm. She turned, her eyes were empty, not dead, empty. "They're not children," she said calmly. "They're the trail, the path itself, walking, watching, making sure nobody leaves. The forest keeps what enters. That's why the missing hiker statistics are wrong. People don't die here, they join the pattern, walk forever." "You're hypothermic, confused. Come back with me, Adu. If I go back, I'll see them everywhere, every hike, every trail, every forest. They've marked me. I can feel them in my mind now, showing me all the people who became paths. Would you like to see?" She grabbed my hand. Images flooded my brain. Hikers walking eternally, feet bleeding, eyes vacant, following trails that never end. Decades passing, centuries. The forests of Ontario filled with the lost, walking wearing grooves deeper into the earth, becoming permanent as the trees. I yanked away, stumbled backward. Sarah smiled sadly. "I'm going to step off. It's the only way to really leave. The void doesn't have paths." "No!" I reached for her. She stepped into nothing and fell. I watched her disappear into gray. No scream, no sound, just gone. I stood there for 17 minutes according to my watch, though it felt like seconds. Then the trees behind me rustled. I turned. 7 children stood in a line, closer now. Close enough to see their faces. They had no faces, just smooth bark where features should be. Birch white and expressionless. I ran. Crashed through the forest, branches tearing at my clothes, GPS forgotten. I ran until the trees became normal again, until I heard birds, until I stumbled onto the Highland Trail at 6:34 p.m. OPP found me there, sitting on the path, shaking. The psych team said I was in shock. Search and rescue spent 5 days looking for Sarah. Found nothing. No body, no trace beyond her journal and belongings. The official report says she fell from a cliff, body lost in dense forest. But I read the historical records. Since 1910, 47 people have vanished in Algonquin without trace. No bodies, no evidence, just gone. I don't work the Highland Trail anymore. Requested transfer to campground maintenance, visitor centers, anywhere away from deep forest. But sometimes at dawn, when I'm checking trails before they open, I see them. Small figures between trees, wearing old-fashioned clothes, standing perfectly still. They're not children, they never were. They're something older, something that learned to look like what lost people might follow, and every trail we mark, every path we maintain, we're feeding them, giving them grooves to fill with the walking dead. Sarah tried to escape the only way she could think of, into nothing. I don't know if she made it or if the void has paths too, but I know I can't follow. Because I have to warn people, I have to tell someone what's really out there, even if nobody believes me, even if they think I broke under the stress. The forests of Ontario are deeper than any map shows, and some trails don't lead anywhere we'd want to go. They just loop back on themselves forever, walked by things that look like children and hikers who never made it home. Story 5. The Overnight Lot Attendant. My name is Kevin Marsh. I'm 52 years old, and for 8 years I worked as overnight lot attendant for Toronto Park Authority Site 14, an underground parking garage beneath Nathan Phillips Square. My job was simple: monitor security cameras, help late workers to their cars, keep the homeless out. On January 19, 2022 at 2:17 a.m., I learned that some people who park never leave. The garage had 4 levels, 847 spaces total, and at night it was usually empty. Maybe 30 cars max, city workers pulling overtime, lawyers burning midnight oil. Level P4, the deepest, stayed completely empty after 11 p.m. Security protocol: too isolated, too many blind corners. We kept the lights on, but the gates locked. That night, I was in my booth watching camera feeds. 12 screens showing empty concrete, fluorescent lights, painted lines. Level P1, 8 cars. Level P2, 4 cars. Level P3, 2 cars. Level P4, empty except... I leaned closer to monitor 7. P4, Section C. There was a car, old sedan, 1970s maybe. Brown or tan, hard to tell under fluorescent lights. Wasn't there during my 11 p.m. check. Gates to P4 were locked. Nobody should be able to access it. I pulled up the access log. No entry codes used for P4 since 8:47 p.m. maintenance check. So how did that car get there? Probably a system glitch, I told myself. Old car, been there for days, camera just picked it up now. But I'd worked there 8 years. I knew every vehicle. This one was new. I grabbed my mag light, radio, and master key card. Took the elevator to P4. Doors opened with a hydraulic hiss. The fluorescent lights hummed, that industrial buzz that drills into your skull. Empty parking, spaces stretched in all directions. Fresh paint, clean concrete, no trash. We maintained P4 meticulously even though nobody used it. Section C was in the southeast corner. I walked past empty space after empty space, my footsteps echoing wrong. Too loud, too sharp. The car sat in spot C47, a 1974 Plymouth Fury brown, rusty wheel wells, Ontario plates, old blue and white design, discontinued in 1982. The license plate read DKV 742. I wrote it down in my logbook, habit from 8 years of detailed records. Then I circled the vehicle. All 4 tires flat, not deflated, rotted. Rubber cracked and peeling. Dust covered the hood, thick, like it had been sitting for decades. Impossible. We cleaned P4 every Tuesday. Today was Wednesday. This car wasn't here 24 hours ago. I tried the driver's door, locked. I shined my flashlight through the window. Empty interior, cracked vinyl seats, ancient radio, and on the passenger seat, a paper parking ticket. I squinted. The ticket showed a date, August 14th, 1983. My mouth went dry. I stepped back, hand instinctively reaching for my radio, then I heard it. An engine starting. Not the Plymouth, its engine was cold, dead, decades beyond running. But somewhere in P4, an engine turned over, caught, idled. "Hello?" I called. "This level is closed. You need to..." The engine revved. Tires squealed, headlights blazed on from Section A, maybe 60 meters away. A car accelerated straight toward me, fast. Too fast for a parking garage. 60 kilometers per hour. 70. I dove behind a concrete pillar. The car screamed past, blue sedan, 1990s model, windows tinted black, and smashed into the Plymouth with a thunderous crunch of metal and shattering glass. Both cars vanished. Not wrecked, not damaged, vanished. The parking space C-47 was empty, no debris, no skid marks, just clean concrete and that fluorescent hum. I stood there, chest heaving, hands shaking. Checked my watch. 2:31 a.m., 14 minutes since I came down. I radioed surface security. "Mike, this is Kevin. I need you to check camera feeds for P4 Section C right now." Static then. "Copy, checking. Kevin, P4 looks empty, all sections clear." "Mike, I just witnessed a collision, 2 vehicles, Section C." Long pause. "Kevin, you okay? I'm showing nothing on any feed. P4 has been empty all night." I went back to my booth, reviewed the recordings myself. Monitor 7 showed P4 Section C from 2:08 a.m. to 2:45 a.m. Empty the entire time. No Plymouth, no blue sedan, no me walking through like I was never there. But in my logbook, in my handwriting. DKV 742 1974 Plymouth Fury, Section C-47. I did research during my shift. Toronto Police Database, old records, newspaper archives. Found it in a 1983 Toronto Star article, page 11. Missing man's car found in city garage. Police are investigating the disappearance of Donald Kevin Vaughn, 34, after his 1974 Plymouth Fury was discovered in the P4 level of the Nathan Phillips Square parking garage on August 15, 1983. Mr. Vaughn's vehicle had been parked since August 14th. Security footage shows him entering the garage at 11:47 p.m. but never leaving. An extensive search of the garage revealed no trace of Mr. Vaughn. Police are treating the case as a missing person investigation. DKV, Donald Kevin Vaughn. License plate DKV 742. He was never found. Case went cold. 40 years later, his car comes back, parks in the same spot, then disappears again. Over the next 3 months, I documented 17 vehicles appearing in P4, always at night, always old, always in the database as connected to missing persons. They'd appear on one camera angle, vanish from another. Sometimes I'd hear engines, sometimes collisions. Once I heard screaming. I reported it, filed official incident reports. Security company sent a technician, Jim Redford, 20 years experience with parking systems. He found nothing wrong. "Cameras are working perfectly," he said. "No glitches, no malfunctions. You're recording exactly what's there." "What's there is impossible," I said. He shrugged. "Then maybe impossible is real in P4. I quit in April 2022. Couldn't take it anymore. Every shift wondering which missing person would come back, which decade, which tragedy playing on loop in that concrete tomb. My replacement lasted 3 weeks, quit without explanation. The next one made it 6 days. Toronto Park Authority finally closed P4 permanently. Structural concerns, they said. But I know the truth. They welded the gates shut, disconnected the elevators, painted the entrance red. No access, condemned. But late at night, security still hears engines starting on P4. Still see headlights on the camera feeds, cars that shouldn't exist, driving in circles, searching for exits that don't lead anywhere. And sometimes on Monitor 7 you can see people in those cars, faces pressed to windows, mouths open, screaming silently. They came back to retrieve what they left, their vehicles, their belongings, their last moments. But P4 doesn't let go. Once you park there, part of you stays forever, trapped in a loop, arriving, disappearing, arriving again. I still have nightmares about that Plymouth, about Donald Kevin Vaughn parking his car in 1983, walking toward the elevator and never making it. 40 years erased, time collapsing. And I wonder how many others are down there. How many missing people from how many decades, all trying to leave, all failing. That garage was built in 1965, 57 years of people parking. Some of them never left, and now nobody can go down there to find out why. P4 is sealed, condemned, forgotten, but not empty. It's never empty. Story 6. The Provincial Courthouse Custodian. My name is Elena Rodriguez. I'm 38 years old, originally from Thunder Bay, and for 6 years I worked as night custodian at the Thunder Bay Courthouse on Brody Street South. I cleaned 13 courtrooms, 5 holding cells, and 47,000 square feet of offices. On February 11, 2021, at 1:03 a.m., I learned that some trials never adjourn. I started my shift at 11 p.m. like always. Building empty except for me and security guard Tom Fletcher at the front desk. Standard routine. Start on the 3rd floor, work my way down, finish with the main lobby by 6 a.m. I grabbed my cleaning cart, Rubbermaid commercial model, stocked with supplies, and took the elevator up. 3rd floor was administrative offices, easy cleaning, empty desks, trash bins, vacuum hallways, finished by 12:30 a.m. 2nd floor was courtrooms, rooms 201 through 205. Always took longer because of the wooden benches and brass railings. Judges' chambers, jury rooms. I was mopping the hallway outside courtroom 204 when I heard voices, male voices arguing coming from inside the courtroom. I checked my watch, 12:58 a.m. Nobody should be in the building except Tom and me. I knocked. Hello, building's closed, you need to... The voices stopped. Sudden, complete silence. I opened the door. Courtroom 204 was dark. I flipped the lights. Empty. Judge's bench, witness stand, jury box, gallery seating, all vacant. Dusty. I'd cleaned this room 2 nights ago, but it looked abandoned, neglected. I walked to the center, shoes squeaking on old tile. My breath was visible. Temperature had dropped maybe 15 degrees. In winter, sure, but the heating system worked fine everywhere else. Then the lights went out. Not a power failure. The lights I'd just turned on switched off. Click. Deliberate. I fumbled for my phone, activated the flashlight. The beam cut through darkness, illuminating the judge's bench. Someone was sitting there. A man. Older. 60s maybe. Wearing judicial robes, black fabric, white collar. He stared down at me with hollow eyes, not moving, not blinking. "Court is in session," he said. His voice echoed wrong, too many reverberations. "Please be seated." "Sir, the building is closed, I need you to..." "The defendant will rise." To my right, movement. I swung my phone light toward the defendant's table. A man stood there, younger, thin, prison orange jumpsuit, hands clasped in front, head bowed. He was translucent, not invisible, translucent. I could see the wall through him. My legs went weak. "This isn't real, you're not real." "Has the jury reached a verdict?" the judge asked. The jury box filled, 12 people, men and women, old, young, different ages, all translucent, all staring at me. A woman in the front row stood. "We have, Your Honor." "What say you?" "We find the defendant guilty on all counts." The defendant at the table started crying, silent tears, shoulders shaking. The judge raised a gavel I hadn't seen before and slammed it down. The bang was physical, hitting my chest like pressure. "Court is adjourned." They vanished, all of them. Judge, defendant, jury, gone. Lights flickered back on. The courtroom was empty and warm again. Temperature normal. No frost, no evidence anyone had been there. I ran. Left my cart, took the stairs 2 at a time down to the lobby. Tom was at his desk reading a paperback, Stephen King's The Stand. "Tom, there's someone in courtroom 204. He looked up, annoyed. "Building's been empty all night. I've been monitoring cameras." "Check them, right now." He pulled up the security feed on his computer. Courtroom 204, timestamp 12:58 a.m. to 1:05 a.m. The recording showed me entering, standing in the middle of the room, staring at nothing for 3 minutes, then running out. No judge, no jury, no defendant, just me. Alone, looking crazy. "Elena, you okay? You look like you saw..." "Don't say ghost, don't." But that's what they were. I went home early, claiming illness. Did research the next day, Thunder Bay Courthouse records, historical archives. Founded in a 1967 newspaper, the Thunder Bay Chronicle-Journal. Courthouse murder trial ends in conviction. John Michael Brennan, 34, was found guilty yesterday of first-degree murder in the death of his wife, Catherine Brennan, 32. The trial, presided over by Justice Howard Kirkland in Courtroom 204, concluded after 4 days of testimony. Brennan showed no emotion as the verdict was read. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Brennan died in custody at Thunder Bay Correctional Center in 1989. Justice Kirkland passed away in 1976. The faces matched. The judge, the defendant. 54 years later, still in that courtroom, still going through the motions, I told myself it was exhaustion, stress, imagination. But the next week I heard voices from Courtroom 202. Different trial, different year. 1983, according to archives, break-and-enter case. I didn't go inside. Then Courtroom 201. 1995, assault, voices arguing, lawyers presenting cases to empty air. Then holding cell B, a man crying, begging to make a phone call. The cell was empty, but I could hear him clearly. Please, I didn't do it. I need to call my lawyer, please. Over and over. Archives showed Martin DeLuca, arrested 1979 for robbery, died of a heart attack in that cell before trial. Every night. Different rooms, different decades. The courthouse was playing its history. All the trials, all the verdicts, all the people who'd passed through, stuck in loops, eternally arguing innocence, eternally deliberating, eternally convicting. I reported it to management. They sent a priest, Father Michael Santos from Holy Family Church. He walked through with holy water, said prayers, blessed the courtrooms. That night was quiet. Completely silent, for 3 days. Then it started again, louder, more courtrooms simultaneously. Sometimes I'd hear 5 trials at once, voices overlapping, verdicts colliding. The building was saturated with judgment, decades of guilt and innocence soaked into the walls. The worst was Courtroom 205. I never heard voices there. I just felt overwhelming despair, crushing, suffocating. I'd stand in the doorway and want to collapse, want to confess to crimes I hadn't committed, want to be punished. Archives showed Courtroom 205 held death penalty trials before capital punishment was abolished in 1976. 11 people sentenced to death in that room. The weight of those sentences still lingered. I lasted 8 more months. Quit in October 2021, told my supervisor I was moving to Toronto. Didn't mention the real reason. 2 other custodians before me had quit suddenly. Now I understood why. The courthouse still operates during the day. Real trials, real judges and juries. But at night the building remembers. It replays its past. Every case, every verdict, every life destroyed or vindicated. The living work there unaware that the dead never left. Justice, they say, is eternal. In Thunder Bay Courthouse, that's not metaphor, it's literal. Those trials will never end. Those verdicts will never be final. And somewhere in Courtroom 204, John Michael Brennan still stands at the defendant's table, crying silent tears, as a jury of ghosts condemns him forever. I clean office buildings now, modern ones, glass and steel. No history, no trials, no ghosts. And when people ask why I avoid old government buildings, I tell them I prefer contemporary architecture. But the truth is simpler. Some buildings hold on to pain. They absorb it, store it, and late at night they release it, not to haunt, just to process. An eternal bureaucracy of the dead, still waiting for their cases to be heard. Story 7. The Niagara Hydroelectric Worker. My name is Marcus Webb, I'm 44, and I've worked as an electrical engineer for Ontario Power Generation at the Sir Adam Beck Hydroelectric Generating Station in Niagara Falls for 9 years. I maintain the turbines, transformers, and electrical systems that power 1 million homes. On November 6, 2020 at 9:23 p.m., I learned that some power sources shouldn't be accessed. Late shift maintenance, standard procedure. My team, myself, technician Ray Santos, and supervisor Patricia Kim were performing routine inspection on Turbine 7, deepest level of the facility, 180 feet below ground. The turbine hall is massive. 10 turbines, each the size of a house, fed by water from the Niagara River through intake tunnels. We were checking vibration sensors on Turbine 7 when Patricia noticed something on her tablet. That's odd. We're getting a power draw from Section D. Section D's been closed since 1982, Ray said. After the accident, I'd heard stories, before my time. An electrical fire, 3 workers killed, entire section condemned, sealed off. We weren't even sure exactly where Section D was, just somewhere in the old tunnels. Tablet must be glitching, I said. No way Section D is drawing power. Patricia frowned. It's pulling 47 kilowatts, continuous draw, for the past 6 hours. 47 kilowatts could power 5 homes. Something was definitely wrong. If old equipment was somehow active, it could cause fires, explosions, system failures. We had to check it out. We found the Section D access tunnel behind Turbine 10. Old metal door, rusted, painted over, marked with faded warning signs. Condemned, no entry, authorized personnel only. Patricia used her supervisor override key. The lock was stiff but turned. The door opened with a grinding shriek. Cold air rushed out, not cool, cold, below zero. Our breath fogged. The tunnel beyond was dark, lights long since burned out. We activated our headlamps. Concrete walls dripped with condensation. Old electrical conduits ran along the ceiling, some torn open, wires exposed. Stay close, Patricia said. We're just locating the source of the power draw and getting out. The tunnel sloped downward, deeper. The sound of the turbines faded behind us, replaced by a different sound, humming. Electrical humming, growing louder. We reached a junction, 3 passages branched off. Patricia checked her tablet. Signals coming from the right passage. We followed it. The humming intensified. Lights flickered ahead. Not modern LED, but old incandescent bulbs. Yellowish, dim. They shouldn't be working. Electricity to this section was cut 40 years ago. The passage ended at a large steel door marked Control Room D. Light spilled from underneath. The humming was deafening now, vibrating my teeth. Ray grabbed my arm. Marcus, we should call for backup. And tell them what? That lights are on in a condemned section? They'll think we're idiots. Patricia opened the door. The control room was enormous, circa 1960s design. Analog gauges, mechanical switches, rotary dials, and every single instrument was active. Needles twitching, lights blinking. Screens glowing with green CRT displays showing system diagnostics. 3 workstations, 3 chairs, and sitting in those chairs, 3 men in OPG uniforms. Older style, 1970s cuts. They sat motionless, backs to us, facing the control panels. "Excuse me," Patricia called. "This section is condemned. You need to—" One man turned. I saw his face and my stomach dropped, burned, severely. 3rd-degree burns covering his entire face, no hair. Skin blackened and cracked, eyes white and sightless. But he was moving. Aware. He looked directly at us. "Shift change already?" His voice was rough, damaged. "We just started at 6 p.m. The other 2 men turned. Same horrific burns, same dead eyes. One smiled, skin cracking further. "Did you bring the relief crew?" Ray staggered backward. "Jesus Christ. We need to balance the load," the first burned man said. He turned back to his console, adjusting dials with charred fingers. "Turbine output is fluctuating. If we don't compensate, the system will overload." I looked at the gauges. They showed readings from equipment that didn't exist. Turbines that had been decommissioned, transformers dismantled decades ago. Yet the needles moved. The numbers changed. The system was live. "Patricia, we need to leave," I whispered. She was staring at her tablet, face white. According to this, the entire original grid from 1963 is active. All the old turbines, all the condemned sections, everything we shut down is running again. "That's impossible." "The fire," one of the burned men said without turning. "November 6th, 1980, we were here when it started. Electrical short in panel C flashover. We didn't even have time to scream. The smoke detectors failed, the sprinklers failed. We burned for 17 minutes before anyone found us." My blood froze. Today was November 6th, 40 years exactly. "You're not real," Ray said. "You're dead. You died in 1980. "We did," the burned man agreed. "But the shift wasn't over. We had 4 more hours. You can't leave your post. That's the rule, no matter what." He adjusted another dial. On the wall behind him, a large display board lit up, a diagram of the entire hydroelectric system. But it showed the old configuration, the 1980 version. Before upgrades, before safety improvements, before Section D was sealed. "The system needs us," another man said. "If we leave, who maintains the load? Who balances the turbines? Who keeps the power flowing?" "There's a new system," Patricia shouted. "Modern computers, automated safeguards. You don't need to be here." "But we are here." All three turned now, those white dead eyes fixed on us. "We'll always be here, 40 years, 400 years, forever. The shift never ends, and now you're here. On the anniversary. That means it's shift change." They stood, walked toward us, slow, deliberate, charred hands reaching. I grabbed Ray and Patricia and shoved them toward the door. We ran. Behind us, the burned men's voices echoed, "You can't leave your post. You can't abandon the system." We sprinted through the passages. The lights flickered. The humming grew deafening. The walls themselves seemed to pulse. We reached the main tunnel, burst through the Section D door, and slammed it shut. Patricia locked it. We stood there, gasping, shaking. Ray vomited. I checked my watch. 10:47 p.m. We'd been in Section D for 74 minutes. We reported it. Filed an incident report. OPG sent an investigation team the next morning. They found Section D empty. Control panels dead, no power, thick dust on everything. No evidence anyone had been there in decades. Certainly no burned men. But the power draw Patricia's tablet showed, it was real. Logged in the system. 47 kilowatts drawn from Section D between 3 p.m. and midnight on November 6th. Then nothing. Investigators called it a sensor malfunction. Instruments reading phantom loads from decommissioned equipment. I did my own research, found the 1980 fire report. 3 workers died. David Chen, 34. Robert Kowalski, 41. James Murphy, 29. Electrical fire, 6:23 p.m., November 6, 1980. Bodies found at their posts in Control Room D. The report noted they'd attempted to shut down the system even as they burned, trying to prevent a cascade failure. Heroes, but heroes who never left their posts, literally. I still work at Sir Adam Beck Station, still maintain the turbines, but I refuse assignments near Section D, and every November 6th, I call in sick. Because on that day, the old system comes back online. The condemned sections power up, and the burned men return to their posts. They died maintaining the grid, and some part of them, duty, dedication, or just unfinished work, keeps them there. Eternal shift workers in a power plant that no longer exists, balancing loads for homes that haven't needed them in 40 years. The power we generate comes from falling water, gravity, physics. But late at night, when the turbines hum and the lights flicker, I wonder if some of that energy comes from somewhere else. From dedication so strong it transcends death. From workers who will never clock out. never go home. The lights in Ontario stay on because of people like me, but also because of people like David, Robert, and James, still at their posts, still turning dials, still maintaining a system only they can see. And every November 6th, they look for relief workers to finally end their shift, but nobody comes. Nobody ever comes, so they keep working, forever. Story 8, the Toronto subway operator. My name is Angela Chen. I'm 36 years old, born and raised in Toronto, and I've operated trains for the TTC, Toronto Transit Commission, for 11 years. I know every station, every tunnel, every switch on Line 2 from Kipling to Kennedy. On March 28, 2019 at 2:34 a.m., I learned that some stations aren't on any map. I was deadheading, moving an empty train from Kennedy Station to Greenwood Yard for overnight maintenance. Last run of the night, standard procedure. I'd done it hundreds of times. The train was a T1 model, 6 cars, commissioned in 1996, fully familiar. I left Kennedy at 2:29 a.m. eastbound on the tail track toward the yard. The tunnel was dark except for my headlights and the occasional maintenance light. Radio crackled with minimal traffic, just night crews and the yard supervisor. Between Kennedy Station and the yard entrance, there's approximately 1.8 kilometers of tunnel. Travel time, 3 minutes at operational speed. But at 2:32 a.m. I was still in the tunnel. 4 minutes, 5 minutes. The yard entrance should have appeared. Instead, the tunnel just continued. Straight, unchanging. Concrete walls, tracks, darkness. I radioed the yard. Greenwood, this is train 5497. I'm running long between Kennedy and the yard. Do you have me on track monitors? Static. Then, 5497 Greenwood. You should be entering the yard now. We're not showing you on any sensors. My hands tightened on the controls. I'm still in tunnel, approximately 6 minutes past Kennedy. That's impossible. There's only 3 minutes of track. I kept going. The tunnel was identical. Same concrete, same dimensions, same maintenance lights every 50 meters, but wrong. The air smelled different. Stale, old, and cold. Much colder than normal subway tunnels. At 2:35 a.m., I saw a station ahead, platform lights, yellow tiles, signage, a station that shouldn't exist. I slowed. The train glided into the station and stopped. I stared through the windscreen. The platform was empty, clean, well-maintained. The station name signs read Lower Bay. But Lower Bay Station was back on Line 2 between Bay and St. George. I was east of Kennedy, miles away, and Lower Bay had been closed since 1966, only used for filming and training. This wasn't Lower Bay. This was something else wearing its name. I tried the radio. Pure static. My cell phone showed no signal. The train's diagnostic systems flickered, voltage readings fluctuating, GPS offline. I was completely cut off. The platform remained empty. Nobody boarding, nobody waiting. Just fluorescent lights humming and yellow tiles reflecting my train. Then I saw her, a woman, standing at the far end of the platform, wearing a 1960s-style dress, blue coat, pillbox hat. She stared directly at me. My train doors opened. I didn't trigger them, they just opened. Safety violation, automatic failure, but they opened smoothly as if welcoming her. She walked toward my car. Not hurried, not slow, measured, purposeful. She reached the first door and stepped inside. I hit the door close button. Nothing happened. I hit it again. Again. The doors stayed open. The woman walked through the first car toward the operator's cab where I sat. I locked the cab door, standard security feature. She stopped just outside, looking through the window. Up close, her face was wrong. Too perfect, too smooth, like a department store mannequin. No pores, no imperfections. Just blank, flawless skin and eyes that didn't blink. She knocked, 3 times, polite, formal. "This is a non-service train," I said through the door. You need to exit at the platform. This is my stop." Her voice was clear but emotionless. "I've been waiting since 1966. My breath caught. "What?" "The station closed. I was on the last train, but I fell asleep. When I woke, the train was gone. The station was empty, the exits were sealed. I've been waiting for the next train for 53 years. I looked past her into the passenger car. More people were boarding. Men in suits, women in vintage dresses, all 1960s clothing, all with that same mannequin-perfect wrongness. 10 people, 20, 30. Filing silently into the cars, sitting in seats, standing holding poles, all staring straight ahead, none speaking, none blinking. "Please exit the train," I said, voice shaking. "This station is closed. You shouldn't be here." "The station is closed," the woman agreed on, "but we're still here. We've always been here, waiting for the train to take us home. You're the first train in 53 years. I tried the controls. Accelerate, nothing. Emergency brake release, nothing. The train systems were locked, and more people kept boarding. 50, 70, 100, far more than should fit. They filled the cars, standing pressed together, all staring forward with empty eyes. "I can't take you anywhere," I said. "I don't know where this station is. I don't know how to leave." "Yes, you do," the woman pointed. "You take us to the next stop, just like always." The platform lights flickered. In the tunnel beyond, I saw distant lights appearing. Another station. Impossible. There were no stations past Kennedy in this direction, just the yard. But the lights were there, growing closer as if the tunnel was moving, bringing the station to us. The new station slid into view. Different name, Queen. But not Queen Station on line 1. This was wrong. The architecture was different, older. Victorian-era tilework, gas lamp fixtures converted to electric, and on the platform, more people, hundreds, all in period clothing spanning decades, 1940s, 1920s, 1890s, all waiting, all turning to look at my train. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." The doors opened. They boarded. The crowd filled every possible space, pushed against windows, stood in impossible density, silent. Patient, waiting. The woman outside my cab door smiled. Next stop. Another station appeared. Union, but not real Union Station. A version that had never been built, or had been built and forgotten, or existed only in the dark spaces beneath Toronto. The crowd on this platform was enormous, thousands. They surged forward. I screamed. Grabbed the emergency detrainment key and opened the cab's side escape panel. Dropped onto the tracks and ran. Behind me, the train sat there, doors open, filled with countless passengers that shouldn't exist. I ran into the tunnel, away from the train, away from those stations, headlamp beam bouncing wildly. I ran until my lungs burned, until my legs gave out, until I collapsed against the tunnel wall. When I looked back, the train was gone. The stations were gone. Just empty tunnel. I stood and walked. After 20 minutes, I saw lights ahead. The real Greenwood Yard. Real, solid, my co-workers. Safety. I stumbled into the yard at 3:47 a.m. Supervisor Rick Morrison found me, disheveled and panicked. "Angela, where the hell have you been? We've been trying to reach you for an hour. Where's train 5497? "I don't know," I said. "I lost it in the tunnel. There was a station." "What station?" "I don't know. It wasn't real. None of it was real." They searched the tunnels, found train 5497 sitting on the tail track just outside Kennedy Station, right where it should have been. Doors closed, systems nominal. No passengers. No evidence of anything unusual. My GPS log showed I'd traveled normal distance in normal time. 3 minutes from Kennedy to the yard, nothing more. But my watch showed 3:47 a.m., 78 minutes missing. TTC put me on medical leave, mandatory psych evaluation. Dr. Sarah Brennan, staff psychologist, diagnosed acute stress and exhaustion. Recommended 2 weeks off. I took 4. When I came back, I requested reassignment to daytime operations. Supervisor approved without question. I've been on day shifts for 4 years now. But I did research, deep research. Found maintenance records from the 1960s, notes about anomalous readings in tunnels near the original Lower Bay closure. Unexplained track sections appearing on sensor logs, multiple reports of phantom stations seen by track workers during overnight maintenance. All the reports ended the same way. Unable to verify. Recommend further investigation. But no investigations happened. The reports were filed and forgotten. Toronto's subway system is 77 kilometers of tunnels. We think we know every centimeter. But late at night, when the trains stop running and the tunnels go quiet, the city's underground remembers earlier versions of itself. Stations that were planned but never built, platforms that closed and were sealed, routes that existed in dreams and blueprints but never in reality. And somehow all those phantom spaces are still there. Somewhere beneath the city, waiting, filled with people who got on trains decades ago and never got off, still riding, still waiting for their stop, for someone to take them home. I see other operators sometimes, older ones who work only day shifts, who refuse overnight assignments. We don't talk about it, but we recognize each other, the ones who've seen the stations beneath the stations, the network under the network, the ghost trains running on ghost tracks, forever. Train 5497 still operates on Line 2. Different operators drive it now. It runs perfectly. No issues. But late at night, maintenance workers report seeing it on tracks where no train should be. Sitting at platforms that don't exist. Doors open. Waiting. And if you're ever on the TTC late at night past 2 a.m. and the train stops between stations for too long, and you hear the doors open when nobody's there, close your eyes. Don't look at the platform. Don't check what station it is, because some stops aren't on the map, and if you get off at one, you might wait 53 years for the next train. I know, because I saw them waiting. Hundreds, thousands, still waiting, always waiting. And somewhere beneath Toronto, they're still there. 9 most disturbing true Ontario horror story. The Windsor-Detroit Tunnel Maintenance Worker. My name is Robert Kane. I'm 51 years old, and for 16 years I worked maintenance for the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, the underwater passage connecting Ontario to Michigan beneath the Detroit River. I've walked every meter of that 1,600-meter tunnel, repaired lighting, checked ventilation systems, inspected the curved ceiling tiles. On April 17, 2021, at 3:41 a.m., I discovered that some sections of the tunnel don't appear on any blueprint. We closed the tunnel from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. for quarterly maintenance, standard procedure. My partner that night was Eddie Voss, 38, 10 years on the job. We started on the Canadian side with our equipment cart, Milwaukee cordless tools, fluke voltage testers, replacement LED panels. Traffic had stopped, silence except for ventilation fans and our footsteps echoing off white tiles. Section markers every 50 meters. C1, C2, C3, we were checking light fixtures, replacing 3 burned-out panels in C7. Temperature was steady, 18 degrees Celsius, controlled climate. Eddie made jokes about the Red Wings losing again. Normal night. At 3:18 a.m. we reached section C12, the deepest point, 23 meters below the river. That's when I noticed the door, set into the curved wall between C12 and C13. Gray metal, institutional, no markings, no handle, just a keycard reader, red light glowing. Eddie, how long has that been here? He looked up from his clipboard, stared. What door? Right there, between the access panels. He walked over, touched it, solid, real. I've never seen this before. 16 years I've walked this section 1,000 times. This wasn't here. I pulled out my phone, checked the maintenance blueprints. The tunnel was a simple tube, Tiles, lights, ventilation ducts, emergency exits at quarter points. No doors, certainly not between C12 and C13. Probably added for new equipment storage, Eddie said. Management doesn't tell us everything. But the keycard reader bothered me. Our maintenance cards were yellow, standard access. This reader had a blue light now, blinking, waiting. I tried my card, nothing. Eddie tried his, the light turned green. Click, the door unlocked. Should we report this? I asked. Let's just look. If it's electrical equipment, we need to know it's here. He pulled the door open. Cold air rushed out, not cool, cold. Below zero. Our breath fogged. Beyond was a passage, not tunnel construction, different, older. Brick walls, not tile. Dim incandescent bulbs every 10 meters casting yellow light. Water dripped from ceiling seams. This doesn't make sense, Eddie whispered. We are under the river. Any structural addition would require international approval. Engineering reviews. This looks 100 years old. We stepped inside. The door swung shut behind us with a heavy boom. I grabbed for the handle. There wasn't one. Smooth metal. No way to open it from this side. Shit! Eddie pounded on the door. Solid, soundproof. We're locked in. I tried my radio. Static. Cell phone. No signal. We were under 23 meters of water and now trapped in a passage that shouldn't exist. Emergency exit has to be ahead, Eddie said. This connects somewhere, it has to. We walked. The brick passage sloped downward, deeper. My ears popped from pressure changes. The incandescent bulbs flickered, some dark, creating pools of shadow. Our footsteps sounded wrong, too loud, too sharp, like the space was smaller than it appeared. After 50 meters, we found the first door. On our left, wood. Old wood, warped and stained. A small window at eye level, wire-reinforced glass, dark beyond. Eddie shined his flashlight through. Jesus Christ. I looked. The room beyond was an office, 1920s style. Wooden desk, rotary phone, filing cabinets, papers scattered everywhere, and on the desk a newspaper, the Windsor Star, dated March 3rd, 1928. Headline, Tunnel opening delayed, construction concerns. This is impossible, I said. The tunnel opened in 1930, this office predates that. Maybe it's a museum thing, historical preservation? But dust covered everything. Thick, decades of dust. Nobody had been in that room for 70 years minimum. We kept walking. More doors, more rooms visible through windows. A break room with lunchboxes and thermoses from the 1930s. An equipment storage room with gas-powered tools, pre-OSHA, dangerous and primitive. A medical station with glass syringes and no sterilization equipment. Every room frozen, abandoned mid-task, like everyone just vanished. The passage ended at a large chamber, circular, 50 meters across. The ceiling arched high, brick and concrete dripping. In the center stood a massive machine, riveted steel, massive gears, pressure gauges with brass fittings. A pneumatic system, maybe? Victorian-era engineering, but running. The gauges showed active pressure, the gears turned slowly, grinding, and around the machine tools, scattered, wrenches, hammers, lunch pails, work lights on stands, bulbs still glowing dimly. Like the workers had just stepped away for break. Eddie approached the machine. This is original tunnel construction equipment. They were building something down here before the main tunnel. Some kind of test bore or access shaft. Then where are the workers? He didn't answer, just stared at something on the floor. I followed his gaze. A boot. Leather work boot, 1920s style. And near it more clothes, coveralls, dozens of them scattered around the machine like shed skin. Empty, no bodies. Just clothes collapsed where people had been standing. My heart hammered. We need to leave right now. A sound behind us, grinding, metal on metal. We spun around. The passage we'd entered through was closing. Not a door. The walls themselves were moving, slowly, inevitably. narrowing. "Run!" Eddie shouted. We sprinted, but the passage was shrinking. The ceiling lowered, the walls pressed inward. The Victorian machine's grinding grew louder behind us, like it was waking fully. 15 meters. 10. The passage was 4 feet wide, 3 feet. We'd have to turn. Sideways, Eddie reached the gray metal door first, pounded on it. "Help! Anyone! We're trapped!" I pulled out my key card, tried it. Red light, tried again. Red. The walls touched my shoulders now, 2 feet wide, 18 inches. "Try yours!" I yelled. Eddie swiped his card. Green light. Click. He shoved the door open. We squeezed through as the passage compressed to nothing behind us. Collapsed. Crushed. Gone. We stood in the tunnel. Section C12. Normal. White tiles. LED lights. Climate-controlled 18 degrees. The door behind us was gone. Smooth wall. Like it never existed. Our radios crackled. "Kane, Voss, status check. You're not responding." Eddie grabbed his radio. "We're fine. C12, slight equipment issue, resolved." We finished our shift mechanically. Didn't speak. At 5 a.m. we clocked out. Eddie quit the next day. Moved to Thunder Bay, blocked my calls. I filed an incident report. Management reviewed it, checked the tunnel, found nothing. No door, no passage, no Victorian machinery. My supervisor, Frank Morrison, 30 years in tunnels, took me aside. "Rob, you need to take vacation. Stress does things to people down there." But I researched, found construction records from 1928. The tunnel project had 2 bore attempts. The first in 1928 failed catastrophically. Workers reported structural anomalies and impossible readings. The bore was abandoned, sealed, and a new route was chosen. Official explanation: unstable riverbed geology. Unofficial reports buried in university archives mentioned 47 workers disappearing during the 1928 attempt. Not killed. Disappeared. 1 shift went into the bore tunnel, never came out. No bodies recovered. The families were paid settlements. The incident was classified. March 3, 1928. The newspaper date I saw, the day before the workers vanished. I still work the Windsor-Detroit tunnel. Different shifts now. I avoid C12, but sometimes at 3 a.m. when the tunnel is closed and silent, I hear it. Grinding, deep, below the tiles, below the river. The Victorian machine still running, still waiting, and I wonder if those 47 workers are down there, still trying to complete their shift in a tunnel that exists between blueprints, between reality, between the world we know and the spaces we built over without understanding what we buried. The door appears sometimes. Other workers have seen it. Nobody talks about it, nobody opens it. We just mark the section clear and move on. Because some construction projects never finish. They just wait. And the deeper you dig beneath Ontario, the more you find that was never meant to be.